Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Holden blackmails Audra over scandalous past, shocking secrets at risk. The Young and the Restless Y&R spoilers hint that Holden Nathan Owens may blackmail Audra Charles Zulika Silver over her scandalous past and put some shocking secrets at risk. Let us consider some new clues that Nathan Owens offered in an interview with SOD. For starters, Owens drew attention to the fact that Holden is a single, charming guy with quite the interest in alcohol. The Y&R star also hinted that Holden is definitely worldly and cultured, but there is a bit of a mysterious darkness to this character that he's looking forward to tapping into even more. In other words, Holden is a sophisticated bad boy who likes booze a little too much and knows how to use his charisma to his advantage. There are good reasons to believe all of that's going to tie into a storyline relating to Audra soon enough. Holden was intrigued when he met Audra at Nate Hastings' Sean Dominic apartment, but what if it wasn't the first time they crossed paths? Audra didn't seem to recognize Holden, but what if his curiosity about her stems from a glimmer of recognition on his end? At some point, Holden may realize he's indeed met Audra before, or at least knew about her. Audra recently talked to Amy Lewis Valerie Pettiford about her past, including her alcoholic father and her time in the art world. It makes sense to trigger some things for Audra by throwing this guy at her who potentially teeters on the edge of alcoholism himself. Owens' comment about Holden being worldly and cultured fits for someone who was involved in the art world as well, so that may be the connection here. Whatever the case, it sounds like Holden will eventually have a chance to show off his sinister side. That could force Audra into a tight spot, since 2025 preview info indicates Audra indeed has some secrets that she'd rather keep under wraps. What if Holden has dirt on Audra? Could Holden end up blackmailing Audra somewhere along the way? Even after the truth about the real Damien is exposed, Holden could find reasons to hang around Genoa City and make life difficult for Audra. It's possible Holden will pressure Audra to help him get the job Nate originally offered Damien, despite it being a ruse. Holden might even force Audra to help him win Lily Winter's Crystal Callel heart, since there have been some hints about them becoming a couple. Regardless, Owens hinted that Holden indeed has a history with a female character in GC, so that LL set the stage for more drama. Based on our predictions, Audra's going to face some disturbing news now that Holden's in town and on the verge of causing problems. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Audra has a real mess ahead of her, so stay tuned for updates on all the mayhem. Genoa City was never a quiet place, and for Audra Charles, the stakes had never been higher. She had built a reputation as a cunning strategist, a woman who knew how to play the game of power with ruthless efficiency. But just as she was on the brink of solidifying her position in town, a ghost from her past returned: Holden Archer. Holden was a name she had tried to forget. A man who knew things about her that could destroy her entire future. And now, he was back, standing in her office at Newman Media, smirking as if he owned the place. A dangerous reunion. Audra folded her arms across her chest, her lips pursed in frustration. "What do you want, Holden?" The man in question took his time before responding, strolling toward her desk like he had all the time in the world. His eyes glinted with mischief, but there was something darker behind them, a quiet, simmering menace. "I missed you, Audra," he said smoothly, letting the words hang between them. "But more importantly, I missed the perks of knowing you." Audra's jaw tightened. "Get to the point." Holden chuckled. "You always were impatient. Fine, let's cut to the chase. I know all about your little escapades before you landed in Genoa City. And if the right people were to find out..." He let the sentence dangle, knowing full well that Audra would pick up the implications. Her mind raced. There were too many possibilities, too many sins from her past that could come back to haunt her. Could he be referring to her dealings with Tucker McCall, or perhaps the business scandals she had been involved in before she reinvented herself? Maybe it was something even worse, something she thought was buried forever. Blackmail, really, Holden, she scoffed, feigning confidence. That's low even for you. He smirked. Oh, come on, Audra. Don't act like you're above a little leverage. After all, you've played this game before. Secrets that could destroy everything. Audra knew she had to keep her cool. If Holden had dirt on her, she needed to find out exactly what he had before she could counterattack. What do you think you know? She asked, forcing herself to sound bored. Holden pulled out his phone and tapped the screen. A moment later, he turned it around, showing her an image that sent a cold wave of panic through her. It was a screenshot, an email exchange from years ago. A conversation between her and a now disgraced businessman, discussing a financial scheme that had nearly ruined a multimillion-dollar company. If this got out, she wouldn't just lose her job at Newman Media, she'd be ruined. Where did you get this? She demanded, her voice sharper now. Holden laughed. Oh, I have my ways. And this is just the beginning. I have more. A lot more. Audra clenched her fists. She had always been the one holding the cards, the one controlling the game. But now, for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was the one being played. Holden's demands. All right, she said after a tense silence. What do you want? Holden leaned against her desk, crossing his arms. It's simple. Power. Money. Influence. He tilted his head. You're in a prime position at Newman Media. I want in. Give me a job, one with perks. High level, well paid, with access to the right people. And in return, I keep my mouth shut. Audra stared at him. You want me to hand you a job on a silver platter? Exactly. She let out a dry laugh. You must be delusional. Holden only smiled. No, I just know you, Audra. You're a survivor. And survivors do what it takes to stay on top. Audra's mind raced. If she refused, Holden would go public with the information. If she agreed, she'd be inviting a snake into her den. Either way, she was trapped. But then again, Audra Charles had never been one to play fair. Plotting her next move. Holden thought he had her cornered, but what he didn't realize was that Audra was already planning his downfall. She needed to buy herself time, just enough to figure out a way to neutralize him. Fine, she said finally, her voice smooth and controlled. I'll see what I can do. Holden grinned. I knew you'd see reason. As he walked out of her office, Audra exhaled slowly. The moment the door shut, she picked up her phone and made a call. Tucker, she said as soon as he answered. We have a problem. The battle begins. Tucker McCall was the kind of man who thrived in chaos, and if there was anyone who could help her deal with Holden, it was him. Tell me everything, Tucker said, his voice filled with intrigue. Audra quickly summarized the situation. Tucker chuckled. So, some punk thinks he can blackmail you, that's rich. It's not just blackmail, Tucker. He has receipts. And if he leaks them, it's over. Tucker was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Don't worry, Audra. We'll handle this. Audra smirked. That's what I was hoping you'd say. Holden's mistake. What Holden didn't know was that Audra had powerful allies, people who wouldn't hesitate to destroy him if he became a problem. While Holden basked in his temporary victory, assuming he had the upper hand, Audra was already setting her trap. She called a contact in the legal world, someone who specialized in making problems disappear. Then, she reached out to Nate Hastings, who had his own ties within Newman Media and could help her strategically block Holden's influence. And, of course, she had Tucker, a man who thrived on playing dirty. Holden had made one critical mistake, underestimating Audra. A twist of fate. By the time Holden realized that he wasn't in control of the game, it was too late. A carefully planted scandal began circulating about his past. The very thing he had used to blackmail Audra suddenly became irrelevant, as rumors about his own shady dealings emerged. Holden found himself facing heat from powerful people who didn't appreciate being manipulated. Within days, his threats turned into desperate pleas. When he barged into Audra's office again, he no longer carried the smug confidence from before. "You set me up," he growled. Audra leaned back in her chair, crossing her legs elegantly. "I don't know what you mean, Holden." His hands clenched into fists. "I should have known you'd double-cross me." She smiled sweetly. "You should have." Holden's downfall was swift. His leverage against Audra vanished into thin air, and by the end of the week, he was gone from Genoa City, just another failed player who thought he could outmaneuver the best. Audra stays on top. As she watched Holden's departure, Audra felt nothing but satisfaction. She had come dangerously close to losing everything, but in the end, she did what she always did: survived. And as she returned to her work at Newman Media, she made a silent vow: never again would she let anyone think they had power over her. Because in Genoa City, only the ruthless survived. And Audra Charles was nothing if not ruthless.